So we're looking ahead a lot here in 2019, see what's going on with The Who. Let's dive in. Roger Daltry recently chatted with Billboard about his plans for 2019. He says that it may or may not include The Who. After he and Pete Townsend spent last year focusing on their respective solo endeavors, Daltry tells Billboard that the two have been discussing possibly doing a new Who project, although Roger is unsure what that might be. He says, and I quote, "It's just what we do. What do we do next? It's really difficult. I'm 75 in March. I just feel like doing something different, but I don't know what." Roger also revealed that he'd like to release a live album documenting his 2018 solo tour, which featured him performing with The Who's 1969 rock opera Tommy with orchestral accompaniment. That I would like. That I would like to hear, because I didn't get to see that show at all. And I feel like Who fans would scoop that up for sure, to hear him doing the Tommy with the orchestra. That to me would be awesome. He's also considering scheduling more shows this year that mark the album's 50th anniversary. He said, and I quote, "I'm absolutely astonished at how good the live version of it is. It's not like The Who's original version of it. It's got all the, of The Who's original version of it, but it's got all these wonderful bits of orchestration underneath that make it triumphant. It's just magical," end quote. That's how he describes it. Daltry's orchestral Tommy concerts featured orchestrations by veteran composer and arranger David Campbell. If that name is familiar to you or not, that's Beck's dad. Roger said he'd also like to see what Campbell would do with Quadrophenia. How about that? "There's something about adding Campbell to the mix," he said, "of what Pete's already done, which is how we did Tommy, that makes something very special." Daltry told Billboard that he isn't interested in taking part of a 50th anniversary Woodstock event this summer. We've been talking about that a whole bunch. The two festivals. Our past morning show vlog gets into that. You can see that at WEHM.com. The two competing things now with Woodstock. It's a whole big mess. I said it'll be interesting to see who gets some of the surviving members. Joan Baez, The Who, obviously Dead and Company, and whatever iteration they'd go up there in. But Daltry's saying that he is not interested in taking part whatsoever. He says, and I quote here, "August in America is too hot for me to work anymore." I feel the same way. Now, I know I'm born here in America. It still feels like it's too hot. Still feels like it's too hot for any of us to be working in August. He goes on to say, "You can't redo Woodstock because the stars of Woodstock were the audience. Nobody's approached us about it anyway." So I think that's preliminary. And this goes back to what I was saying in the last morning show vlog about the Woodstock shows itself, which is Michael Lang, because he was the originator, I think has the better chance of getting Joan and The Who to agree. A much better chance, I think, than Live Nation. Unless Live Nation and Bethel Woods just throws a boatload of money towards the artist's way, which in that particular case, some of them may not be able to turn it down. I don't really know. I don't really know. I don't want to speculate about the money and all that stuff. But, it's interesting to hear his take on that. But I feel like sentimentally, Lang's got the edge in this particular area, even over money. Because The Who definitely don't need the money. Neither do the Dead and Company. I think Joan Baez is okay, but you never know. They throw so much at you. Even people who don't need the money are still kind of like, all right, It still talks. It still talks. And again, like I said, not to paint these artists as just money-hungry people, because I just don't believe they are. But a thing to consider, a lot of these bands employ a whole bunch of people, So maybe the money doesn't matter to them, but they're sound guys, they're lighting technicians, they're roadies, they're social media people, they're website people, they're label rep people. If they can throw a little bit more out to those guys and gals, sometimes that's where that more money kind of comes into play. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But that little tiny nugget of info at the end where he goes, "Nobody's approached us about it anyway," to me is that little light at the end of the tunnel, meaning that if somebody did finally approach them, they would consider it. And I think they would ultimately end up there, even though I do agree with nobody should work in America in August. It's far too hot. And by nobody, I mean me and whoever else wants to, put up a fight. That is it for The Who and their plans for 2019.